Welcome to Heather Ewing, the CRE Rundown. I am your host, Heather Ewing from Madison, Wisconsin, and today I've got a great guest for you. It is none other than John Laine. He is an investor out of Vancouver, Washington. John, welcome.
Hi there. How are you, Heather? Thank you for having me.
Definitely, my pleasure. So I've known you for about a year and a half or so on LinkedIn, but for those of my guests that don't know you yet, please share a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
The 30-second version is I've been in real estate for 35 years. Bought my first house when I was 19, right? I'm 57 now, so I've had this 30 plus years of compounding interest in my life. So that's been really, really cool. Now because of that decision, being able to buy young, we help other families buy their first home. We buy old apartment buildings, convert them to condos, and sell them to first-time home buyers. So that's like the 30-second, as quick as I could do it, answer.
Right. That's terrific. So do you ever seller finance?
We want to. We're not quite big enough to do that yet. We will probably do seller financing maybe on the fifth or sixth or seventh one, but we're still perfecting the business model. Once we get like our fifth one, I think we'll be doing seller financing from that point on.
That's terrific. So 19, that's an early age. Kudos to you, John, for the foresight. What would you say? Was there a person, was there a book, or what inspired you to be so smart and begin investing at the tender age of 19?
I, my dad was an Army officer. And so we had moved over and over and over and over and over and over again as a kid, right? From the age of 5 to 18, we were moving every couple of months. And I was just very
Wow.
tired of being moved around, not having control over my life. And I ironically gotten into a pretty bad car wreck that summer before. And so I had a lump of cash. And
Mhm.
and I had a couple of really good friends that we did house hacking before the idea of house hacking was even a term. I just $2,500 down, got the house on contract. My two best friends moved in with me, and that was it. Like that was, I mean, I had no idea how important that one decision would be in my life. I really, honest
Yes.
God, looking back in hindsight, like life gives us forks and decisions at points in time. I honestly had no idea how important that moment would be in my life. Like,
It is intriguing, isn't it? And it's kind of funny. I had a conversation with a lender just yesterday over coffee, and we were talking about that too, of life presents choice points.
yeah.
And sometimes you realize it, sometimes you don't. And one decision really can shift and change things to your point. So that's great.
It's been foundational. Like that one house, it forced me to think. I mean, as a 19-year-old, you don't really think of adult responsibilities, but it forced me to think of adult responsibilities. At that same time, I bought my first business. I was working as a carpet cleaner for this gentleman. He got sick. He asked me to buy his business. And so simultaneously, I'm a first-time homeowner and a first-time business owner.
Go
It
large,
was
John.
it was crazy how God, the universe, works to conspire to just shift a person's life. It still astounds me how it all happened.
I love that. But I think too, you see more science coming out to back it and things of that nature of what we focus on does grow and those different, the dreamers, as long as you're putting action behind it and when these different scenarios appear that you did take it, you ran with it. Because if you think about it, you could have had this lucky break and you could have spoiled it per se, or in the sense of not reinvesting and not being smart with your money. So you did have if you want to say the hand of God come in for you, but at the same time, you made a lot of right decisions, I think, that has put you to where you are now. So, in that sense, definitely a series of good decisions.
It's very much my perspective. It's very much putting yourself into those positions where luck or whatever you want to call it can smile upon you, right? I started
Mhm.
working when I was really young, like really, really young. And just putting yourself out there in an opportunity where Providence can have its hand in your life. Um,
Right.
I mean, it's I can't remember the luck and hard work combined. Uh,
And was it Jim Rohn, maybe, that, or someone had, one of the greats of luck favors the prepared,
that's it.
right?
That's the quote I was looking for. Thank you. Yes, that's
I've
it.
got your back, John. I've
Yep,
got your
yep,
back.
got it.
So, yeah, it's one of those make smart decisions, do the right things, being consistent. And I think that's something I've really learned over the past several years is the power of consistency. Because you see a lot of people that shine bright and then they go to the wayside because they don't have the dedication and that deep burning why to help propel them over those challenging moments and hurdles. So, what would you say has really helped you to get over some of those hurdles with your approximately 30 years of investing?
Well, I survived the great financial crash. Like that was a big deal. I lost damn near $80 million in
Oh,
'09. And weathered that storm. That was hard. That sucked. Um, would not
right.
recommend. Uh,
No.
yeah, that was really tough. But I mean, perseverance, being willing to. After '09, I basically took a dozen years off. I'm just like, okay, I'm checked out. I just didn't have the mental or emotional strength to
Mhm.
get back into the real estate world. I tried other businesses, but I didn't enjoy them.
Mhm.
But it took a lot of perseverance. It took a lot of counseling. This is why I like Chris so much. I did
Yes.
counseling for almost 3 years to get my head and my heart to align again. Um, yeah.
It's integral to your point. And with it being so many years in the past before meeting with Chris, are you able to identify one or two things that helped you to, if you want to say, continue on each day towards the goal?
So I do a lot of hiking and backpacking. Um,
Nice.
that gets that that takes the focus off the mental frustration. Losing $77 million, right? There's a lot of crap in your head, right? And
I'm sure.
just like taking a walk, going climbing a mountain, just repetitively hiking, um, it got me out of my depression. That was able to lift a lot of the depression issues. And it started, I'd interact with people on the trail and I'd be friends, and I did part of the PCT and I'd make some friends. And they were all struggling financially. And here I was, mid 50s, relatively comfortable, relatively financially solvent. My wife worked through that whole time, but I didn't. For almost 12 years, I didn't really work. And I gave myself some time to heal. Um, but I also, through the hiking, gave myself time to think. And I started
Hmm.
looking at like the macro of what are the problems in the real estate world. And if I were to go back into it, what could I fix? What impact could I leave?
Right. And kind of creating a new plan.
Very much a new plan. Yeah.
Yeah, that is great.
Yeah.
So what is your plan? It's 2024. What's your plan for next year or even the next few? What's pulling at the heartstrings?
I I am passionate. So because of my kind of or origin story being able to buy when I was young, I realized that like the average age of a first-time home buyer in America is 38 years old.
Are
Median
you
house,
serious?
yeah, true fact.
Wow. Wow.
Median house price is like 385. Median down payment is $71,000. Like the American dream is basically being ripped out from underneath people. And I just, I look at my own experience and I said, I think I can solve this problem. Um,
Right.
and so I grabbed a couple of my investor friends, turned them into partners, and we're slowly helping families buy their first home. Like we're partnered with a nonprofit, right? So that's really impactful for me.
Nice.
So we're partnered with a couple of nonprofits. We're buying properties at really, really deep discounts, doing the renovation ourselves, and then selling them first time home buyers at 80% AMI. Like
Wow.
it's really pretty awesome.
That is. That is.
I mean, to watch, we just had a conversation, we just bought a building, and to watch the residents, their whole demeanor changes when you say you can stop paying rent and start owning, and we're gonna
Yeah.
like that's
John, you're like the modern day Santa. You need to put some of this. I want to see videos. So I am creating an action item for you of creating some of these videos. That would be great.
it
That would be
was
terrific.
we did a pizza party. So every time we buy a building, we have a pizza party and we connect with our residents. We have, hey guys, they come downstairs and they're really timid and they're really like not sure. There's a notification there. We just bought your building, and every resident in the world is terrified of their new landlord.
Right,
Right.
right.
And
The
so,
unknown, right?
yeah, first 20 minutes, first half hour of the conversation, we're saying you're not being evicted and you're not getting a rent increase. You're not being evicted and you're not getting an increase. I mean, we said
Right.
15 times. And then
Yes.
all of a sudden, there's this collective sigh of relief. Everybody's like,
Right.
oh. And then you get
Well, you
down.
hear some wild stories with other people's experiences. So it's nice that you address that right up front because otherwise, you know that they're not going to be listening because there's going to be so many different ideas, concerns swarming in their head. So I love your approach, direct and also, put the fire out before it begins, right?
So I know it's cheesy. We call this compassionate capitalism, right?
I like it. It's true, though.
Yeah. I mean,
Definitely.
there's both words are important, right?
Hmm.
Compassion first. Every conversation we have leads with compassion. There is a tonality of capitalism. We want to make a profit. You can't do our business model without creating a profit. Um,
Exactly.
but there is our residents are buying houses, assuming they follow through, at 80% AMI. So we're selling units in this building at $225,000. The median comp in the area is 260 for the exact
Right.
same thing. They're literally walking into $40,000 of equity, and we're working with either low income or modest means income people who would not normally have even the, I mean, $70,000 for down payment. Um,
Right. Right.
yeah, and we're giving them the down payment. Like it's part of our mission is to we give them 3 months of payment, right? It's
Right.
yeah, sorry, I get a little excited.
Well, no, it's terrific. And that's the thing. You hear so much in society about of like, well, time freedom's okay, but to have money is bad. And to me, if you didn't have, the wise investments that you made, you wouldn't have the money to be able to give back in this way. So I think people in general really need to take a hard look and realize that money is a great, great thing and it allows people to do great things with it. it's really a personification of someone, whether they're going to do good or if they choose not to. So kudos to you. You know, what a beautiful way to give back and also to continue caring for yourself and family and expanding the goodness throughout your community. So here's another question for you. If you were to reflect back on the last 5 to 10 years, what is a piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Go to therapy.
Thank God for Chris.
Yeah. Holy smokes. I wasted 12 years. I had such when you create wealth, a lot of people in America, and myself included, we equate net worth with self-worth, right? That's just how
Mhm.
we're wired as Americans, right? Net worth
Right.
equals self-worth. When my net worth crashed, my self-worth crashed. And I mean, if you had said, like, hey, what would you do different in the last 5 to 10 years? I'd say go to therapy earlier, right? I wouldn't have
Right.
lost a decade. That means I
Yeah.
helped a lot more people. I've had this condo conversion roadmap in my brain for 15 years, but I didn't act
Right.
on
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
it.
the beauty is you can probably help such a even larger group by going through that experience because so many people, to your point, don't get help. And I've been there at different times too. And be like, I look back, I'm like, oh my God, Heather, you could have made this a lot easier. There was no reason, for that level of pain. Tony Robbins has a great quote, and I don't remember it exactly, but it's something about there's hardships in life, but the amount of pain you choose to put yourself through is another story. And
It's
I was like,
all on.
ah,
Yeah.
yes,
Yep.
exactly. But
I it was a hard that like the last 5 to 10 years were tough, but helping I for me it's about helping other people, right? I don't need more zeros, I don't need more commas in my bank account. They're helpful, they're nice, but I don't need them,
right.
right? For me, it is a legacy of trying to serve others. Um, when I lost my portfolio, I had roughly 1,000, 15, 1,200 people relying on me for their shelter, right? When I lost my portfolio, let's say 1,500 people went homeless. I lost my
Wow.
properties, they lost their homes. And
Right.
that's a burden that I will carry for the rest of my life. Some of these residents had been in those homes for 5, 10, 25 years. And because I lost my portfolio, those people
Mhm.
suffered consequences that were not their fault. And so I feel a sense of compassion to try to right that for other people. I don't know. I want to give residents more control over their lives, and it starts with home ownership.
Right. And I think it's one of those when you are a caring and compassionate person that no one could have planned 2008, 9, right? And it's one of those no one would have ever wished that upon anyone. And so in that sense, I think it is, you know, us A-type personalities is easy to accept ownership of that when it's like, no, we're not omnipotent. We can't control these things. Otherwise, there wouldn't be, half of the bad things that happen in the world. So I love that you're really utilizing that energy, though, and to propel forward, improving people's lives. And with that, my last question for you is what would you say living fully means to you, John?
Hiking with my wife in the redwoods. Like there's no
Beautiful.
bigger like my we got married in the redwoods. We go to the redwoods all the time. Like it's like living fully is quality time with the person I love the most in the place I love the most. And not worrying about money, not worrying about are the bills paid, not worrying about uh the normal financial strains of life. Quality time with my wife in the redwoods, final answer.
I love that. And that is perfectly said. So, With that, John, thank you so much for joining me. And before we end this podcast, share with my audience how can they reach you? What's the best method for that?
So easiest, John, John, at condo, fund. Super easy. No.com, just John at condo.fund. Yeah, and then
Perfect.
yeah, I'm
Excellent. Well, John, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you for your kindness and compassion as well.
You
Yeah.
bet. Bye bye.